let's get right to our first guest, Mark Passacantano. Sorry, Mark. He's a professor at Harvard and Boston University. It doesn't get much bigger than this, ladies and gentlemen. And he's the founder and CEO of North Atlantic Business Advisors. Mark, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Tommy. Pleasure to be here.
All right, pronounce your name. I hope I didn't destroy it too bad.
Oh, Mark Passacantando. Please call me Mark.
Okay, Mark. Listen, at what point in your life did you decide you wanted to be an educator, Mark?
You know, it's interesting. I think, like most things, there's some synchronicity at play. I had gone through a lot of education, including some Catholic schools, and knew the value of education early on. Had positioned myself in business fairly early, knowing that there was a lot of opportunity, and I had some gifts and some skills in that area. And it wasn't until about 15 to 20 years into my career that an opportunity presented itself.
Oh, okay.
And it just seemed to resonate. So I took advantage of the opportunity.
I'll tell you, when you can be a professor at Harvard and Boston University, you're at the top of the mountain. So, you know, you did it, I guess, a little later in your career then.
That's right.
So tell me about how that feels to get that professorship and to be able to, I mean, we're talking Harvard, Boston University. That has to truly mean something. You've got some of the great minds, these kids, going through your classes. Tell me what that's like.
It's an amazing opportunity. I certainly feel a lot of gratitude around the opportunity. You know, and a big part of this is about purpose. It's what I'm doing in the business world. It's what I hope to do every day in my personal life. And in the classroom, it's really an opportunity to literally shape our future. You know, these are future business leaders and government civic leaders. And it's really giving them a way to think about a problem or a challenge, you know, how to overcome those challenges and make either the business or the world a better place. And so you're giving them real tangible skills and, you know, being a hyper-focus on what the right question is. Everybody's so focused on the bottom line, you know, making the next dollar, what the answer is. And I have found that the real key is where a lot of folks don't look. And so I'm extending that to a number of the students.
Okay, yeah, so that I want to touch on that for a minute because it's very important for our viewers and listeners. So many of them are entrepreneurs, or they want to be entrepreneurs. They have ideas. They're trying to create a company. Do they create a company? What do I do? Do I quit my job? You know, you are working with these young minds and people that are going to go into the business world. If you had one thing to say to them, what would you say to my viewers? What would you say to them today?
Sure. I think at the top of the list is to believe in yourself, right? To give your idea or thought, the space and the potential to move forward, to fly, and to have courage. Because often the impediments and the challenges don't lie in the idea, the business idea, the economy, some outside third source. It's ourselves. It's that fear that creeps up. The little, as the Buddhists say, that monkey mind that's always busy talking in your ear saying you can't, you're not good enough, you don't have enough money to start this business. Mm-hmm. And so I think it really begins with overcoming that, gaining clarity and having a passion.
You know, you are spot on. And so many people, it's about the passion, the heart, and are you willing to commit to that? And a lot of people just, although they'll say, I had the greatest idea in the world, and 10 years ago, and look, it's out now. Why didn't I do that? Or they, I'm really bored at my job. I hate my job. Why can't I do what you do? And you probably hear that every day as well. And it's so, to be able to give them some sort of insight and something to hold on to is so important like that. Why don't we talk a little bit about you starting North Atlantic Business Advisors? And why did you do that?
Sure. I have started other companies leading up to this, and I saw an opportunity, not long ago, about a year and a half ago, in the B2B, the business-to-business segment, where a lot of these businesses privately held. There's over 20 million of them in the United States. I mean, everybody's focused on, the big companies, the Dow, the S&P 500, the large conglomerates and international players. And yet there's this large segment in the small to mid-sized business area where at a certain point they need some help. And where we operate, Tommy, in particular, is in exit planning and transition. Right, every business is very unique.
Mm-hmm.
I like to say it's as unique as an individual's fingerprint, and it has a story. A lot of these businesses had developed post-World War II in many cases, and you've had a successful business and a business story and a history there. And then these businesses mature, and the economy changes, and there's geopolitical events that are occurring. And so I really saw a need for someone like myself with my background to leverage that, to help business owners think about what the next step is. As we get older, medical condition creeps up, something is happening, let's sit down and have a conversation.
And so, and many of them are going, I'm just going to pass it on to my family. And so there's weird options that are happening there. And sometimes I'm sure you see crazy situations. What kind of businesses are you talking about as far as size? Cash and revenues.
Yeah, no, it could be anything. So the small business segment generally from the $500,000 on to $2 to $3 million, and then you have the mid-sized market, $3 million to $50 million.
Mm-hmm.
Once you get beyond that, you're really getting into private equity and larger firms.
And so many of these smaller companies like that, they don't understand that they can get counseling and can go to somebody like you because they just don't get it. They've built this company over 30, 40 years, and there's so many changes going on, and they're getting older, and they don't know what to do. And that's a dynamic I see so often out there.
Yeah, I think that's right. I met with a company, to give you an example, recently. It's manufacturing space, which, by the way, I've got to tell you, and it's surprising, if not borderline shocking to me, there seems to be so much interest, Tommy, in the whole manufacturing segment. We hear so much about the sexy technologies and high-tech, emerging technologies, biotech. And yet, getting back to basics, some of these manufacturing companies are very much in demand. But I sat down with a manufacturing company, started and run by the father. The wife is involved, the kids, the daughter, the sons and daughters. And it's gotten to a point where they have some real questions about what the next step is because, one son is not involved, the other one is but doesn't have an interest. The daughter has a family with 3 kids. And so they start to shrug their shoulders and say, what can we do? Meanwhile, revenues are starting to, hit a pinnacle and they're starting to come on down. And the question is it too late? Is there still an opportunity?
Now, listen, Mark, I appreciate you being on the show. We just ran out of time too quickly, and I'm sorry to have done that to you. But I do want to talk more about this at another time because this is so important for so many small businesses and medium-sized businesses out there. Real quick, how can people reach you?
Sure. Website, www.northatlanticba, as in businessadvisors.com. We're here on the East Coast. So happy for somebody to check us out on social media as well. We're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. And
you can always find Mark on our website at ceomoney.com. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. We have to take a break now, and on the other side of the break, Mervyn Price is going to have some fun with facts and figures. You've been listening to CEO Money. I'm Tommy Habe.